So one of the coolest things about video games is that they often store items for your characters to use. Think Halo. You always have a cache of weapons like grenades, guns, and ammo. Or Mario Kart 8. You can have turtle shells, stars, boosters, and a whole bunch of other things. Let's imagine we're making our own Pokemon Go game, which I know is super 2016. But anyway, you're going to store lots of different items in a game like potions, revives, incense, Pokemon balls, cameras, egg incubators, and that kind of stuff. So let's break all these items down into variables. Like this, for example, we'll just put variable, we'll call it potion, we'll call it item 1, and we'll set that equal to potion. Cool. Let's call variable item 2, and we'll set that equal to revives. And then we'll create variable item 3, and we'll set that equal to incense. Let's just say that this one has 3 items. We'll forget about Pokeballs, cameras, and egg incubators for a second. Now, we have all of these items. We have a bunch of variables that we can call on or add things to. But how we organize all of these? Can I put all of these items in one place? For that, you're going to need arrays. Think of an array as a big box that you can put other little boxes into. Remember we talked about variables being these little boxes. It's a short way of storing all of this information, and it's usually similar information that we get in games, into one place so that you can use it later. The way to make an array is just like making a variable. First, you tell the program you're going to make a variable like this. And it looks like a variable, doesn't it? Well, it kind of is. It's a variable with a lot of values in it. So, like a variable, we're going to give it a name. Let's call this one items this time because we're going to put a bunch of items in it. And you want to put an equal sign, just like another normal variable. It tells the computer what's going to go into this big box. Now, here is where it gets different. Instead of just starting to write all the things you want to put in the box, we have to tell the program that it's not just any normal variable, it's an array. And we do this by writing these brackets around the things we're going to put in this box, like this. Notice I like to put this little semicolon here at the end so I don't forget to in my statement later. After we start to put the variables inside the array that we want, we separate the variables in an array with a comma, like this. So for example, I want to put item 1, which has the value of potion, in my array, so it looks like this, item 1. I separate it with a comma, and what I like to do is just hit return, and then enter my second item, item 2. And I hit return, and I put item 3. Now we've made our first array. Notice that I put all of them on separate lines. I like to make my arrays like this so that I can see them in list form, and it makes it a little bit easier to read them. You can put them in other ways like this, for example. So here's an array with just all of them listed out on a line. Again, there's really no difference between, for example, this and this. So items 1, 2, 3, items 1, 2, 3. It's all the same. But what I like to do is put them in lists like this. Again, it just makes it a little bit easier to read. And you'll see later how it really makes it helpful for counting the number of items in your variables. So like I said, they're easier to read like this. In this example, we stored variables, which we already have. But really, you can put anything in an array. So for example, in this array, I just put a bunch of items. But let's say I'm doing Mario Kart 8, right, which is one of my favorite games, released in 2014. Let's say I want to list all of the characters in Mario Kart 8. So I'm going to erase all of this. And instead of declaring the variables first, instead of having variables, I'm just going to put all of the names of all of the characters in Mario Kart 8 into them. So here I have Mario, Luigi, Peach, Yoshi, and again, just like with a normal array, I put the var characters, that's my name, that's the name of the array, and equal sign to tell the program what I'm going to put in here, and then the brackets here that tell me exactly what goes inside the array. I didn't forget my semicolon here. But again, what I did is I just put a bunch of string values in here. And so I separated them also by little commas here, just like I did when I put variables. Or for example, if I don't want to use characters, maybe I want to store all of the player's scores in an array. Check this out. So here's a variable, it's called scores, equals sign to tell it that what is in my array, and the brackets to delineate where the numbers are that go in the array. And look here, I put numbers in there. So you can actually put a lot of different stuff into arrays. You can put string values, you can put numbers, you can put other variables, you can even put other arrays. We're also going to learn about things this time, or in this lesson, called methods. And you can actually even put those in here. So here's a getElementById method, and you can actually even put those inside of the arrays. It's kind of cool. So anyway, the most common way that you're going to see arrays are just with a bunch of different values inside them, or variables, or numbers. One really interesting thing you need to know about arrays is that you need to know what to actually do with them. So that now you know how to call arrays. The next step is getting the information in arrays. To use this information in arrays, you'll need to first know that each item in an array has an index number, or an index position. The main thing to remember about these index positions is that it starts with position 0 and moves up one number from there. So for example, Mario here in this characters array, is actually in position 0, or index 0. It's not in index or position 1. So a good way to visualize this is not a real array. I'm just showing this so that you know kind of where the positions are. So the first thing in your array, if this were the scores one, 0 is actually in position 0. The score 12 is in position 1. The score 5 is in position 2. This can get a little bit confusing, but it's just something you have to get used to with JavaScript and with arrays. You use arrays all of the time, and you just need to make sure that you remember that it starts with 0 and then goes to 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can have as many items in an array as you want. So let's look at another array, for example. We have these characters array. Let's make it a little bit smaller here. We don't need so many characters in this array for this example, because I want to show you how you can actually call on these characters because you know what positions they are in the array. So for example, if you want to get the first character Mario and store him into a variable called winner, so let's make a variable here, we'll call him winner, you will just need to write the winner is just a new variable, but here's the trick. You want to get the name Mario into this variable winner. So what you're going to do is you're going to write characters, because that's the name of the array, and then what you do is you add your little square brackets right here. Got that. I'm going to add my semicolon here at the end so I don't forget it, and I'm just going to put the 0 inside of that. So if I call the number 0 in this array, it's calling the value that's in the 0 position, index position in this array, which right now is Mario. So what the variable, or the value that's stored in the variable winner right now is Mario. Notice that I didn't write the names of the characters or anything like that. I don't need to. All I need to do is call which array that they're in and then what position inside that array that they're in. Another cool thing that you can do is actually change the values inside of this array. So you can change the values of any item by calling the item like we did in this variable and putting an equal sign and then a new value you want that item to have. So let's replace here Luigi with Wario, one of my favorite characters. So all we have to do really is call the name of, or call the position that Luigi is in. And so if Mario is in 0 position, then Luigi is in position number 1. And all I have to do is reassign it, like I'm reassigning the value of a variable or something. So I just put an equal sign, and then I put Wario. Make sure that I finish up with a semicolon. And now the character, I misspelled characters here, got to watch out for that. Characters in position 1, so in the characters variable in position 1, which is Luigi, I want to take Luigi out and just put Wario. I didn't really take him out, I just replaced the value that's in position number 1. Another way that you can add things to arrays is actually by using the array push method. Arrays are only as good as the information that you have in them, so putting more information or changing the information in an array is very, very common. For what you need for this is actually something called a push method. So if I have the same exact array here, characters, and I got Mario, Luigi, Peach, and Yoshi in here, what I'm going to need to do is call, if I want to push another value into this array, what I'm going to need to do is call the array, put dot push into there, and then I put some parentheses around there, and inside I just write Toad, one of my other favorite characters in Mario Kart. So what this did is that I called on the array characters. You gotta make sure I put the S there, characters. And I pushed a new value into this array. So even though you can't see it right this second, there's a new value in this array called Toad. And it's always pushed to the last index position. So right after Yoshi, if I were to redo or create another visualization of this array, you would see Toad right after Yoshi here. All in all, arrays are amazing sources of storing, or amazing resources for storing information. You need these array skills in order to create your own games and programs in the future. You can also use the EQ3schools.com, which we're looking at right here, and it tells you all about arrays. It explains a lot of the stuff that I explained just right now. So you can access full arrays, you can learn about how arrays are objects. There's a lot of information here. Also, you can see on this page the array methods. There's a lot more array methods than just the push method. You can pop things out of the array, you can push things into the array, you can shift all of the elements in the array. There's a lot of really cool things that you can do with arrays and that you can see on w3schools.com, which I have linked here on our page. So good luck with all of your arrays.